the last 5 years has kind of been a mess because of the whole COVID situation. There are products that we've announced at this show that we had ideas of in 2019, but then just got shelved because we were redesigning products in order to continue shipping. We had to think of other ideas because of the pandemic to get out. So our goal is to always be pushing forward. If I don't push forward, we will either fall behind or we'll just become complacent. Blackmagic Design is a company that makes hardware and software, video equipment, and our goals are to empower creative individuals. So it's about creating products at a reasonable price that provide very high quality production value.
I'll get right to the exciting stuff. First, what have you got that's new for the show?
You're going to be surprised to find out that I have a lot of new things.
No way!
I know, it's the first time that's ever happened. We've got new updates to our video hubs, ATEMs, HyperDecks, cloud solutions. We have new cameras. We have all new Resolve 20, obviously very big for us. So across the product line, it's something like 36 new SKUs. It's a lot to kind of go through. We're not going to go through all of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't have an entire week, but tell me about the new camera, the Pyxis.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So this year we announced the Pyxis 12K. And in order to kind of talk about what that camera is, I'm just going to go back to last year. We announced our Pyxis 6K as well as our Ursa Cine 12K. Now, the Pyxis 6K was the first box camera we ever made. We had these great pocket cameras that were very affordable in a relative sense, but we wanted to make that box camera, and we did using this 6K sensor that we kind of already had. Great, affordable box camera there. On the other hand, we made our Ursa Cine 12K, which has this great 12K sensor, but that camera, we took a different approach, and we said, let's put everything we've ever wanted in a camera, as opposed to saying, let's build a $1,000 camera, which is a very typical Blackmagic approach. And we made this amazing camera that is expensive, relatively speaking. This year, we've come out with the Pyxis 12K, and we've kind of done the in-between there. We've got this awesome body of the Pyxis in that box style, but we have that 12K sensor that was in the more expensive Ursa Cine 12K. So now we have the ability to do things like high frame rate, 16 stops of dynamic range, being able to shoot in 12K, 9K, 8K, 4K, and all of those use the full sensor, not just cropping to part of the sensor. So how do we give all of that power, or most of that power of the Ursa Cine 12K, but in that Pyxis package? That's what we announced this year. That's what people are excited about.
Now, you're differentiating between the Pyxis and the Ursa in broad strokes. What's the difference between them?
Yeah. Pyxis is it's a form factor thing first and foremost, right? The Ursa is a bigger body style camera. We're going to be mounting that on a tripod. We're going to be putting it on a crane. The Pyxis itself is actually a box camera, so now it can kind of become whatever we want it to be. Do I want to put it on a gimbal? Do I want to put it on a drone? Do I want to turn it into something more handheld? It does have more flexibility. You can always make a small camera larger. It's hard to make a large camera smaller.
I want to go to the ATEM switcher, believe it or not.
Yep.
Where are you seeing the market for that?
You know, the thing for us, it comes down to, like, again, back to empowering people. The original purpose of doing the ATEMs was how do we get more people into doing live production with a physical switcher? And when you start looking at like our ATEM mini product line, it goes back to that. How do you make a $300 physical switcher and bring more people to the table, give more power to creators to be able to do YouTube channels or cooking shows or go to their businesses and do videos in-house? So for us, ATEMs have always been about adding a lot of creativity and power to people at, again, affordable prices. Once you start using an ATEM, whether it's a $300 ATEM or a $1,000 ATEM, you can move up to the $10,000 ATEM because the controls are all the same. That professional level and quality is going to be the same throughout the whole entire lineup. This year, we were actually showing a little bit of our ATEM in the cloud. It's not a done product, but the idea of being able to shoot on Blackmagic cameras, uploading to the cloud directly, that normally would go to like maybe a Resolve editor, but why can't we just do an ATEM live switch with 4 cameras in the cloud, no switcher at all, and just cutting and sending out a program out somewhere? So really cool things when you squint your eyes and kind of look down the pipeline at what we're going to be able to empower people to do using the new technologies available to us.
Could I take a TriCaster out, put an ATEM in its place?
Yeah, you could. They're similar in functionality. There's obviously differences in the products. We have a lot more a la carte type of options. They might have maybe an all-in-one solution. There is different technologies that are in there, but ultimately they're serving that same kind of central hub brain of I'm feeding a bunch of cameras in, I'm doing that live production switch, I'm sending something out, programs out, or streaming out. So they have similar functions. They are different, and they're different tools for different people will work for them, but essentially they kind of fall into that same niche.
One of the questions that a reader provided is the role of AI. Clearly, AI is percolating throughout the entire industry, and what they're trying to figure out, this is a Resolve question, so you can switch your thinking, is how much AI is going to go into Resolve, and how much do we need to start to play with all these other tools? What's the balance?
Yeah, it's a tough one for us. So this year is probably our biggest AI development in Resolve 20. So we are definitely continuing to put more technology in there and more AI in there. And I think the challenge there is, how do you create something that's going to make life easier for creators without replacing creators? Like, obviously it is not Blackmagic's goal to replace creators. They're our customers. I want more customers that ultimately end at the end of the day. But I also want to be able to make life easier for creators and get rid of some of the tediousness of doing the work. So, doing things this year like being able to have audio, like an audio song match a video length. Hey, I've got this 5-minute video. I've got 7 minutes of audio. I just want to hit a button. Boom. It makes the audio fit into the video. Now, I could have gone back and created cuts and gone fades and done all these things. But that's a tedious 20 minutes that I have to spend doing that. Having the button, being able to click and just make that do that, is a benefit to me, the creator. Doesn't eliminate me, doesn't make my creativity be any less, but it makes my job easier. And that's the fine line we are trying to make of, how do we make creators' jobs be easier without replacing creators, because creators are our customers that obviously would like to continue to buy Blackmagic products, preferably.
Let's stay with Resolve for a second. What are some of the key features in the new version?
The AI features in there are some of the big things that we're going to see in there. I saw a lot of the audio bits in there, like I mentioned that. Same one where we can go in and just automatically see where all the beats in the music are. We have a new voice matching, which is a little bit scary, because you can start going and saying, hey, I want this voice to sound like this, and it will just automatically use AI to do all that. It's a lot scary, and there are some things you can do with there. And I think even we have a window that pops up that says, hey, you're doing this and you are accountable for what you are basically doing here. Now, the big thing for our AI is it's not going out into the interworlds and pulling a bunch of things. It's basically pulling from what you have and you have provided. So another way that we're trying to manage some of that AI. But Resolve 20 has, every year I feel like I come and I talk to the developers and they say, this is the biggest Resolve ever. And I say, we can't just keep saying that every year, but it's true. Like, okay, well, so, the good news is Resolve 20 is out there in the wild right now. It's still a beta, but it's very solid. So far, the feedback's been really good, and we're excited to get that out there.
Well, that gets me back to hardware. How often should we... I mean, Blackmagic wants to sell hardware. That's your business.
That's true.
The software supports the hardware. I can't afford to buy a camera every year.
That's true.
How often should I upgrade my gear?
I look at it a lot like how I look at graphics cards and phones. I don't buy a graphics card every year. I don't buy a phone every year. But occasionally I start going, man, I would really like the features of that phone, or I would like the power of that graphics card to meet the demands of what I might be doing on a computer. And I think that's the thing is, if you're worried about what the next camera Blackmagic is going to do, that's a tough one, because we are going to do another camera. We're going to do another ATEM. We're going to do another deck link. And that's part of the model that we have. Just like the phone company is going to come out with another phone next year. But that doesn't mean that you need to buy that phone. If it does something that really meets the needs you have, by all means, buy that phone, buy that graphics card, buy that camera. Our goal is to always be pushing forward. If I don't push forward, we will either fall behind or we'll just become complacent. So for us, it's a matter of, look, buy the product that's right for you when you need to buy that product. Don't be surprised if next year there is a better product that comes out, because ultimately that is our goal, to continue to build awesome, affordable, better products. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to somebody, but nobody should also be expecting that they have to buy a new camera or upgrade their ATEM or buy a new deck link. We're going to continue to support those products. Again, we launched an autofocus for our Cinema Camera 6K. That's a camera that we did 2 years ago. We're going to continue to do those updates, continue to provide value to people that have purchased Blackmagic product, even if we're coming out with new products every year.
The big hammer that dropped last week is tariffs.
Yeah.
What's happening?
I wish I knew. I guess that's the short version. For us, I think the fortunate part for us is that we control our own factories. We own our own factories, and we have factories in Australia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So at least we have the ability to kind of react and decide how we want to do things. So, when this weekend came around and we started seeing that these were really happening and, on paper are just now going to be put in place, we had to obviously adjust our pricing based on what those duties were. And just for math's sake, Singapore and Australia was 10% and Indonesia was 32%. So we're fortunate in the sense that we have some ability to create some of our own fate and adjust things there. I feel a lot of pain for a lot of other manufacturers that don't have that. So unfortunately, right now, we're obviously beholden to these tariffs and these duties and what's going to change. So again, we're adjustable, we're flexible, we're trying the best we can, like I'm sure all manufacturers are, to be sensitive to this. So it's definitely a challenge. It is not great that it happened at NAB, let alone any time, but I feel pretty fortunate in where we are and how we're able to deal with it.
You have 36 new products. What's your favorite?
That's a tough one. I really do love the CCU control we've come out with. That's the one that we actually had that discussion in 2019 about. We had a 4 CCU control for being able to color shade cameras. And of course, when we launched that, it was great and it was very affordable. But everybody said, I just want the one unit like I've been used to using. I have them stacked up where I can use the one. And we said, sure, we're going to do that. And Industrial Design started on it and we never finished it. And then it finally came out this year and it's beautiful and it can control 8 cameras, and I think one of the best features about it is as you're doing your color shading, you could select your 8 cameras, but it actually shows you which camera is on air so that you don't accidentally push the button and start color shading that right when it's on air. So a really clever device that I've been waiting for a long time, so I'm really excited about that unit.
I could talk to you all day. It's wonderful to have you with us. Dan, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Larry.